Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, then we get all this kind of stuff. Hi, I'm Carlos from Because I'm Carlos, cleverly named. So anyway, I just thought I'd make a little video in between meetings here. I'm going to try to do this in world record time, see if we can pull that one off. But our good buddy Ken Goldin decided to drop a little bit more information in the spirit of beautiful marketing. He came down with a little bit of an announcement regarding some new investment into Goldin Auctions. Now, quickly, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a little share screen here to talk about this piece. And we'll just talk briefly about what kind of this entails and kind of where this is significant a little bit. But we'll keep it short and sweet. So this was the initial thing that kind of got the ball rolling a couple of days ago. And you know it's serious when I had to refill my cold brew coffee for this. So this was the original Instagram post that Goldin put up where on Tuesday, February the 16th, today, he was originally going to have an Instagram live at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time to talk about Goldin Auctions and industry news release. Left it vague and open-ended. Well, as it turned out, as a result of kind of his voice being out, as a result of I believe it was surgery that he needed. I don't remember the exact details of it, but I know that he had a picture of it that he apparently recovered from it, but then he delayed it so that it's going to be on Wednesday. But there was still supposed to be some kind of industry news that was going to come down on Tuesday. So earlier today, we got this. So this is a news release here related to it. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you on the screen. I'm going to switch from this screen here, and then I'm going to switch over to the actual press release that he's got separately on the site. So let me stop sharing for a second. And I'll switch over to the other tab here so that I can actually give you the press release itself. It's a PDF file here, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here to help out. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but I'll quickly scan through some of the critical pieces. So the big thing here is that there's a group of investors that have invested $40 million in growth capital into Goldin Auctions directly. So founder Ken Goldin is going to remain in a key leadership position as executive chairman and founder. And that means there's going to be a little bit of shakeup at the top where Ross Hoffman is going to join as CEO to oversee product and technology updates, enhance user experience for hobbyists, in the $10 billion collectibles market. So long story short, they got $40 million in growth financing, and as a result of that financing is the change in the positions. So from the Chernin Group, TCG, an investment firm. Now there's a lot of big names related to this. Really so let me quickly break this down. Like I said, I want to try to do this in record time. And also at the same time, I'm going to talk about it certainly more this week during the live stream. I want to talk about this a little bit more, take some time to absorb it. This is kind of an initial thoughts based on this press release and kind of what I read through it about it. I do think the names associated to it are going to get a little bit more buzz and a lot more attention than even the $40 million, which is certainly a lot of money. But in the grand scheme of things, $40 million is kind of a drop in the bucket. It's not a big deal as far as growth financing, especially when you compare it to something like the Collectors Universe deal that ended up being like almost $800 million when it was all said and done with when Nat Turner and Steve Cohen and that group bought Collectors Universe and that completed. But nonetheless, for an auction house that has made a lot of waves in recent times, this is just another big move and a marketing masterstroke from Ken Goldin. I will give full credit, especially considering the names and associated folks in it. And this deal certainly didn't come together over a weekend. So, and he had alluded to it days ago, and now this is the big follow-up. This was the other shoe to drop when he led into those initial tweets so those initial Instagram posts that I showed you a little bit earlier. So it says here, Goldin Auctions, you can use the funding to invest in technology operations and audience development to further and build upon, blah, blah, blah. A lot of this is marketing copy. Quick point I want to make, as far as technology operations and audience development, it would not shock me, and this is where the Instagram Live, I think, tomorrow is going to be very interesting, is that it would not shock me if a little bit of the plays into this is that Goldin was starting to move towards doing a monthly auction and potentially even more frequent auctions with potentially lower thresholds, which could expand their capability to have way more auctions. This current set of auctions that they've got going on has over 5,000 lots in it, which is one of the biggest ones they've ever done. So they're kind of positioning themselves to be able to do this much greater volume. And this growth capital could give them a much heightened capacity to be able to absorb more lots and be able to do more consignments. So just something to bear in mind as kind of a piece of where that money could be going in addition to improving the platform and make it more viable for that type of volume. Just something to think about. So Ross Hoffman, as I said earlier, has held senior positions at Twitter, Google, and Headspace. Is joining as the new CEO. And he'll run the day-to-day operations of the business alongside Ken Goldin, who will be moving to position as chairman and founder, which is what I mentioned earlier. Like I said, a lot of this is marketing copy, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. And I'll include a link to this one in the description for you. So here's something critical here. So TCG is the main one noted here, but as part of the round of funding, and this is kind of interesting here. In addition, several notable individuals and firms have joined in funding round, including, I'm not going to read all these names. I'll skip the first couple here, but Mark Cuban, Kevin Durant, and Rich Kleiman of 35 Ventures. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. YouTube co-founder Chad Hurley. Yeah, Chad Hurley. And then next one here, Timbaland. So Timothy Mosley, Timbaland. Just again, it's just some celebrity names. But here's another one that I think is kind of interesting. So you got Logan Paul. Okay, sure. In line. But if you skip ahead a little bit to right here, Bill Simmons, founder and CEO of The Ringer, and Dwayne Wade, Mark Wahlberg, and Deshaun Watson. So some interesting names, but keep in mind here, this one, Bill Simmons. Interesting, especially given that he recently had, The Ringer has recently started up a sports card podcast. So it's the timing of everything kind of is interesting. Very, very interesting. And you can see after that, they include a lot of kind of the background of Goldin Auctions, talking about it, blah, blah, blah. Not going to worry about it. And a little bit about TCG. Okay. In the spirit of keeping it kind of relatively short and sweet, the big takeaway, obviously, the dollar amount is crucial towards building that kind of infrastructure that I was talking about a little bit earlier. I would be surprised if they didn't use a little bit of that money to kind of bolster that. But I do think the names that are associated with it are kind of the big takeaway. That's going to be the big headline grabbing thing, especially with the type of people. I do think it's interesting they got like current athletes like Kevin Durant and Deshaun Watson in as part of that as well. With Bill Simmons, you've got a media element to it because he's obviously been around the sports landscape and is a name as far as that's concerned, and the Ringer themselves because he's sold control of the Ringer to Spotify. So it's one of those things where like now that you've got a media element, you've got a current sports element, you've got, Mark Cuban who's investing in a lot of different things. So you've got names and you've got some stroke and some individuals who have some sway in different elements. Logan Paul is an interesting name just because he's been involving himself with Pokemon cards recently. So it's like there is this convergence of a lot of these different areas, including business, including entertainment, including this, that, and the other thing. So overall, it just makes for an interesting package. I have to kind of sit and chew on it a little bit. As I said, this is kind of a first reaction. But my first thought is that the names, I think, supersede the dollar amounts. Because in the grand scheme of things, like I said, $40 million is a lot of money to you and me, the day-to-day individual. But in the grand scheme of business, $40 million is nothing. I think Kevin Durant keeps that in his right pocket. And that's just one person, in addition to Mark Cuban, in addition to Bill Simmons, in addition to all these other folks. But that they, as a group, all joined this round of fundraising basically is indicative that Goldin, I will give full credit, his marketing efforts have not been in vain. He's been able to build the brand to the point that now you've got this growth capital coming in. And now he's able to parlay that into getting these investors now to chime in and be able to contribute towards, the growth of the brand. So Goldin's name's still on it, but at the same time, to a certain degree, he kind of relinquishes a little bit of control in return for expanding the brand and keeping his name out there. His continued involvement in it is going to allow him to continue to be in the spotlight the same way he's been able to do and take advantage of a lot of the marketing. He's demonstrated a lot of marketing savvy, which has been very impressive. This whole sequencing between, like I said, leaving the Instagram post at the beginning of the weekend, prior to the long weekend, just to let everybody kind of stew on it for a couple of days, and then his Instagram live tomorrow will be an event where I'm sure a lot of people will be paying attention, myself included, to see kind of what comes out of that and what other discussion comes out of that. But then obviously this press release dropping now leaves us now with a full day basically to sit around and kind of think about and percolate on what this means. And as I said, thankfully, Ken Goldin is able to provide additional content. So it gives me something to talk about off the top of the live stream. My intention is to go on the live stream on, I believe it's going to be Sunday this week. And then we'll figure out if I'm going to get anybody to join me. But I would be kind of interesting to have a subsequent discussion on this. But I definitely wanted to have a little bit of a talk on this piece first on the channel. And then kind of percolate on it some more and give some more elaborated thoughts after I've had some time to think about it. But this is kind of the initial thought. My big takeaway. $40 million in growth capital, significant. The names and individuals involved and their reach and their capabilities may end up being the bigger piece of this puzzle. And then subsequently tomorrow, Wednesday, February the 17th, will be an interesting one because it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, Goldin adds or elaborates onto this and what else he says as pertains to any plans or anything they might be doing with the money or with the individuals involved that could potentially keep things going. So the sports card world keeps turning. Just another thing. So Goldin Auctions, Goldin Auctions gets a $40 million investment of growth capital from TCG, the Chernin Group, in addition to a celebrity panel of entrepreneurs, business people, and athletes. So we'll see kind of what happens as pertains to that is, and if now that means that Goldin will be out there even more. If he even makes more of the rounds in terms of media, in terms of outlets, because it's just another headline-grabbing thing that they've been able to do. So it's been a big run of events for Goldin and Goldin Auctions. So anyway, those are my takeaway thoughts initially. I'd love to get any feedback or any thoughts that you have. Do you think it's a big deal? No deal? Kind of a big deal? I think a lot of folks are going to throw out there that it's a big deal, but I'm open to some thoughts and theories. Anyway, more stuff like this, and if some random weird thing comes up on the sports card landscape, I try to talk about it on the channel where I can. If you like this kind of breaking news-ish kind of stuff, I'd appreciate it if you'd like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So we'll talk about it some more later on. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.